And in today's episode, we are going to talk about Masterminds Nursery. We are here to meet Mrs. Tanya Siddiqui, the director of Masterminds. And we'll try to make our newsroom within this lovely nursery and bring out the best information that we can for you.
Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Tanya, for having me over here in a beautiful nursery like this. Very beautiful experience. Very first experience of Emirates World Newsroom in a beautiful nursery like this. Ms. Tanya, I want to begin by asking what made you start this lovely place?
This Masterminds, when we actually initially started, was really the driving force was to find an ideal environment which would benefit my own daughter. She was 3 at the time.
Okay.
The programs that we offered at Masterminds were the programs that we were doing with her at home, but we wanted to take it into a nursery setting. We thought it would be perfect for her to be in an environment where she was getting the benefits of the enrichment programs and also interacting with other kids who had the same exposure. So that was really the thought process. But it required a lot of training. It required, a lot more detail. So it took us a good 4 years to actually get that dream into a reality. But my own daughters were the driving force behind starting Masterminds.
Now, see, this is spread into a very vast area. Various departments and classes, and have just been around.
Yeah.
Were you the brainchild behind all this?
Oh, absolutely. So my husband and I started Masterminds. We wanted to have a large space because when you do so much that we do, the kids here have a very dynamic and a very purposeful day. So you need space. But at the same time, we don't want to lose that warm, nurturing feel where little kids, because we have kids from 15 months all the way up to 6 years of age, you don't want to lose that warm feel where kids actually walk around with a sense of comfort, a sense of confidence. So we designed the space in a way where they would have the swimming pool, they would have the gymnasium, they would have ball skills, the violin room, language rooms, their own classrooms, but at the same time walk around saying, I know this environment, I know this. And I think that's perhaps the biggest compliment that we get is when parents walk in, when our children walk in, they make a dash, they walk around with a sense of ownership, a sense of entitlement that this is their space. So every aspect of Masterminds has been designed by myself. I've worked with lots of designers, a lot of people, but it benefits the curriculum. Everything ties in. Everything is very purposeful. The learning goes in with the outdoor play. Everything is connected. So yes, it's very detailed oriented.
And could you please also tell me something about the kind of teachers that you have engaged for this nursery?
Oh, absolutely. So we've got teachers from literally all over the world. We also have, it's a language immersion program. We feel very strongly about languages. So we also wanted to have native speakers for each language. For the English and teachers were primarily the class teachers. We have teachers from the UK, US, Ireland, Canada. We have teachers from France who teach the French program. Then we have teachers from Jordan who teach the Arabic program. We wanted that authenticity to come in, not just for languages to be learned through a lesson. It's more of a mother tongue approach. So we create a culture for them to experience language, talk about the food, the people, the environment. So it becomes a little bit more immersive and it becomes a little bit more fun-oriented, if that makes sense. Teaching, our teachers are literally from all over the world. They have a bachelor's and a master's in education. They have experience. But the primary thing that we need in a teacher is that they have a growth mindset. They're able to come and learn a completely different way of teaching and are able to deliver that on a regular basis. Teachers have to be enthusiastic, they have to be passionate because, what we truly believe is that knowing the subject is great and a lot of teachers can do that, but knowing the children is fantastic. And to be able to deliver the subject that the kids want, that's priceless.
Mrs. Siddiqui, I want to know, life begins with mom and dad, and then the life takes another step towards a nursery school.
Right.
How are you, different from many others in a market which is saturated with a lot of play schools, a lot of nursery schools who give the primary education?
See, the first thing that I think what I completely agree with is that life begins at home. with your mom, with your dad. I always tell my parents this is the next best thing to a home. We pride ourselves at Masterminds. I think we've created an environment which is as close in terms of nurturing and understanding and looking after the children as a home environment would. We are all very vested in the development of our kids, but obviously that is the emotional aspect of it. In terms of the specifics, I think we give kids and children what they really want to learn. Everything that we do is meticulously designed to kind of feed into that curiosity, that level of engagement that they're seeking. So I think, we based on a mother's traditional wisdom. We bring in the scientific aspect of brain development, and we've merged the two. One of my favorite quotes is that, wisdom is not scientific, and scientific is not always wise. But if you put the two together, it's something extraordinary. And I think that's really what defines Masterminds, that brings in all aspects of all the core things that are required for a child's development. Whether it's physical excellence, intellectual, social excellence, emotional intelligence, we focus on it all.
Children are intelligent from the birth, and your core objective is multiplying the intelligence as they grow. The parents, they come to you, they leave their children with you, and then you dig out that intelligence out of them. So what is your reaction on that?
See, the thing is, I'm glad you asked me that question, because a lot of parents, what I feel, find intelligence is somehow synonymous with education, which is not really the case. When you talk about learning, when you talk about intelligence, it's something that starts at birth. Children are born with a level of curiosity. Intelligence is developed, learning is developed when kids are learning to feed off a mom, holding hands, learning to crawl, learning to eat. And this has nothing to do with education. It's about creating a certain skill set. It's about applying a certain knowledge. What we feel is that intelligence needs to be nurtured. Exposure needs to be given. And it's a birthright of every child to be given the experience, to be given the information for them to be able to make smart choices that will help them throughout everything, whether it's, a 2-year-old learning to share a toy or not putting their hands in their mouth, or it's a 5-year-old learning to problem solve, or it's a 12-year-old who's doing excelling at a STEAM challenge. It's about giving them the choices of how knowledge can really be utilized to benefit them. A lot of times people think, knowledge is power. We feel execution of knowledge is power. And if you're able to explore that intelligence, understand how to utilize information, it is just so much more beneficial, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And we make these kids in a newsroom. There's a lot of computers. This is one area where I believe this is a swimming pool, and there's an adult to a child. There's a personal event between So this information I just need from you. I mean, how are the other safety features being taken care? How children learn in supervision of experienced people? Please throw some light.
See, the thing that defines Masterminds is our small classroom sizes and our small groups. So within a classroom, we would have kids always functioning in groups. They come together for snacks, outdoor play, creative arts. But when you're talking about the enrichment programs or anything related to the intellectual program, which is either languages, English, math, swimming, gymnastics, sports, music, violin, you would always have them in their groups. And the group would always have a specialist teacher, which in this case is our swimming teacher. Here, the adult child ratio is literally 1 and 2. Usually we have also 4 to 5 children. You would have one assistant, the lifeguard, and the swimming teacher. It is this level of care and attention that gets us the results that we promise our parents. It's a byproduct because the attention to detail is given. So Pasha's got Miss Yelena all to himself, while the other child is with the assistant at the moment. The lifeguard is always here on duty just to make sure that all kids are safe. There's a level of independence that we foster in children. We want to give them the space to move around, to be independent, but at the same time safety is fundamental to any activity that we do. We need to make sure that they were looked after. All of these check boxes, all these boxes that you talk. In terms of cleanliness, I think you walk around the facility, we're very particular about the cleanliness of our facility, because obviously when you're dealing with young children, you want to give them the very best. whether it's nutrition, whether it's just their right to a safe, clean environment. When you walk, I always walk behind the things, or doors are shut. With about 120 kids, we have 44 adults. I think if you do the math in terms of ratio, I think we are very well equipped to give each and every child the level of attention they need. One of the things that we always define is that all children, whether they're in your class or not, all teachers should know all the kids at Mastermind. So if a 2-year-old is having even the slightest of issues at the moment, they can walk up to any adult and they'll know that adult has their best interest at heart. So that's why we have a community feel that we feel very strongly about, and I think we executed really well.
After spending some time in this lovely nursery, I mean, I personally wish I could go back in time. I could become a kid again. Uh, Firstly, what is your take on, how after a day spent with all these lovely children, do you feel there's a child in you that comes out every morning? You come over here, and when you go back, still you carry that child back home. It's very difficult for you to, come into your regular role of a mother or a wife.
See, the thing is, the role carries with me throughout, but I think what you defined is my perfect day. Being at Masterminds, being around the children helps me being true to my inner child at all times. I also have 2 kids at home, so it allows me to, first of all, never panic because I've seen it all. It allows me to understand every child's very different, but literally, the best thing is about being with them, learning with them. Again, your knowledge gets heightened. When you see the enthusiasm of child, you want to do all your best. So it's one of the best and the most rewarding things. If you do it really well, there is nothing better than being around children and learning from them, and enabling them to learn from you. But I think you end up learning a lot from them. A lot.
Uh, Mrs. Siddiqui, this event is coming up with Ms. Elisa from UNESCO. Could you please tell our viewers of Emirates World Newsroom what is the objective of this event? What is Ms. Elisa going to talk about, and who can be a part of this particular event and benefit?
Absolutely. So we're very, very excited about having Alyssa come in. Alyssa's been an education consultant with Masterminds for several years. She has visited Masterminds and Dubai several times before. But the real purpose of having her come in was to speak to our parents and parents around Dubai, especially parents of little children, and talk to them around the theme about how to multiply your intelligence, which is something that we feel very strongly about. The entire ethos of Masterminds is to create a capability skill set of children which will last them for their entire life. Capable children are happy children and eventually happy adults. As parents, as professionals, my husband and I have always believed in professional and personal development. Even when we were parents for the first time, we went through all sorts of courses. I remember from birthing courses to nutrition to how to communicate with your child, positive behavior, everything. And I feel like parents need that guidance. Parents need that expertise to create an environment that is always enabling and not just wait for the school to provide the support. The best time is when a nursery or a school can work hand in hand with the parents to make sure that we're all aligned in what we want for the child, our values, our way of approaching things. I think the end result is it benefits the kids, which is what you eventually want.
Mrs. Siddiqui, in a place like UAE where over 200 nationalities are living and working, what is your message for those parents, those moms and dads who have children of this tender age, who are working in the daytime, and why should they come to you, and what kind of guidance you can provide to them in in the context of helping them develop their child's intelligence further?
Okay. See, the thing is that the advantage of being in Dubai is that you're surrounded by such a global community, and I think that's a fantastic exposure for children. The slight disadvantage is that we've all left our home country and we're all here as expats, so we do not have the support, not all of us have the support of our extended family members. So children are exposed to a more of a nuclear parenting style where you have the mom, dad, and the nannies essentially play a very important role. So I think the first step before your child is even ready to go to school is really spending some time educating your caregivers, because if you're not at home, your your children are essentially spending a good 2 years or 3 years with these caregivers at home. So they need to understand and know exactly what your values are, what is it that you want your child to be exposed to. I think there is a very important initial step that one needs to take, because the first 6 years of life are the most crucial in your child's life in terms of language development, physical development. Majority of the times I see nanny just taking a child on a stroller and walking them around the park. It'd be good for parents to give them the input that physical ability is important, physical exercise is important, nutrition is very important. Having said that, Dubai is also very blessed in having so many schools and nurseries. You have your pick, so maybe do the research, and once your child is ready and you are ready as a parent, it's very important for you to be physically and emotionally ready to send your child off to nursery. Maybe find the right one for yourself, identify, dig really deep and see what are the values of that nursery and whether they're aligned with your values. And perhaps it's better for the child to be in this environment rather than being at home. You just need to make the right choice for your child.
Well, that was Mrs. Tanya Siddiqui speaking very exclusively on Emirates World Newsroom. I must thank her for letting us make her lovely nursery as our newsroom, which is our concept. We actually extracted a lot of information. We are going to process it and we're going to deliver it, broadcast it to a lot of people through our newsroom, our channel, EmiratesWorldNewsroom.com. Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Siddiqui, for having us over here.
Absolute pleasure having you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Amit.